If you are like most people I meet, you probably feel a little unrepresented by your political party. Maybe you consider yourself to be more left-wing or right-wing, but unless you're some kind of abstract Burkean, you probably have your own point of view that differs from either the mainstream Democratic or Republican platforms. Maybe you even have criticisms of your own party. Conservatives like Vox Day and liberals like Christopher Hitchens have both pointed out ways in which mainstream politicians seem to have betrayed the values of their own party. Either way, for most people, left and right seem inadequate. The terms don't describe them, but those are the only words that they're given to categorize their political views. I want to delve a little deeper into this. The terms left and right arose during the French Revolution. Loyalists were on one side of an aisle who supported the crown, while Democrats who supported revolution stood on the left. But that dynamic isn't descriptive of what we're fighting over in America now. Politics is about who controls whom. In challenging times, we're all looking for some common ground. We're looking for a path back to unity. If we can understand what the power dynamic is, who is fighting for control, then perhaps we can achieve that goal of unity. So what are the complaints that the left and the right have? Leftists tend to complain about global corporations, the military-industrial complex. Right-wingers complain about big government and globalists like the United Nations and the Ivy League. When we look at these side by side, a pattern emerges. We have a broad base that are stable populations, critical of larger, transient global populations. Note that there are left-wing and right-wing people in both of these groups. It can sometimes be difficult to explain why a policy is either left-wing or right-wing. It's easy to go down rabbit holes that way. But if you think about political policies in terms of whether it benefits stable local populations or whether it benefits transient global populations, a lot of things make a lot more sense. Republicans criticize Democrat-run cities, which is a true observation, but Democrats aren't always enacting policies their Democratic constituents want. These Democrat-run cities aren't this way because of Democrats, but because cities attract transient populations that stay a while, vote, then leave. Cities are more accurately described as centers for the transient global populations. We can think of probably a couple exceptions offhand. Salt Lake City and Las Vegas come to mind. But Las Vegas's transient population is so transient that they generally don't have time to stay and vote on issues, as they do in other larger cities, where people will work in small businesses for a brief period of maybe a few months to a few years. Salt Lake City has the perception of such a strong religious community that there is very little motivation for outside transient global populations to attempt to overthrow it by moving there. When we look at the political breakdown in America as between stable local populations against transient global populations, rather than as between left-wing and right-wing parties, a lot of unity becomes possible between friends and acquaintances who otherwise might see themselves on opposite sides of the political aisle. So perhaps if you want another view of politics, a fresher framework to talk through with your friends, try this out. Instead of focusing on whether a politician has a D or an R after their name, look at where they've lived, and for how long, and if they have children. Are they stable and local, or are they a member of the transient global population? You might be surprised by how much unity there truly is beneath the confusion and division.